Joining me now to talk more about Jenny Rivera and today's vote is Senator Adriano Espaillat. He wrote an op-ed over the weekend making the case for confirming Rivera. He spoke passionately on the floor today. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you once again for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. So you spoke today. You did speak very strongly about your belief that Jenny Rivera is in fact qualified. The Senate Republicans have questioned that. And first, before we go any further, do you give any merit at all to their argument that because she has no litigation experience, I know that there have been previous people who were not judges, but they did have litigation experience. She doesn't have either. That's going to be hard for her when she gets onto the bench.
No, I disagree with them wholeheartedly. I mean, she has a very extensive record of accomplishment. She's a legal scholar. The Court of Appeals is a different court that examines, the decisions from lower courts and tries to right the wrong. So in essence, what you need in the Court of Appeal is a legal scholar, someone that really knows the intricacies of the law. And to that end, I think she's been superb. She's has an extensive record, not only as a Deputy Attorney General for Civil Rights, but also as a Commissioner for Human Rights. She clerked for Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. She was a legal aid attorney. She was, she's just somebody with extensive experience and a scholar. And I think that brings a new perspective to the court than someone, let's say, from a very important, Wall Street law firm would bring.
There was the phrase judicial activism thrown around today during the debate, and I wonder if there is a line. Do you believe that there is a line between interpretation and activism?
Well, I think that the court has the ability to adapt to the changes of time. If that wouldn't have been the case, then we would have had Plessy versus Ferguson in perpetuity. But no, it was reversed by Brown versus the Board of Education. And at the appellate level, the Court of Appeals, that's exactly what you're looking to do, to review the facts of a case that perhaps was wrong and to try to reverse it or try to uphold it. So I think she has the background, the legal background, the scholarly background to make the right decisions. I don't think she's going to rush to the gate and be an extra, like a radical activist in the court. No, quite the contrary. I think she brings passion to the job, but she understands the plight of, single women who have been evicted out of their homes. She understands the plight of the homelessness. She understands the realities, the day-to-day realities of most New Yorkers. And what better person to go to the Court of Appeals as someone that understands that?
Did you see this position as a Latina seat?
Not necessarily. I thought that, the governor, and the commission went through great extent to interview many applicants. It has 75 female applicants, over 20 minority applicants. They chose 7. They really had extensive research on each and every one of them. And then finally the governor chose Jenny Rivera. But, I don't think it was necessarily a Latina or a female seat, although there is a place in the highest court of the state for diversity. I mean, the demographics of the state continues to change. How would you like to go to a court and face all male judges? Or how would I like to go to a court and not have a Latino on the bench? And so there is a place for diversity, and I think that the governor did a good job by reviewing all the applicants and selecting Jenny Rivera as the one.
But do you think he had it in mind to replace Carmen Separek, whom his father appointed as the first Latina and Hispanic judge on the highest court in the state, with another Hispanic?
I think he had it in mind to ensure that the Court of Appeals is a court that reflects the composition of the state of New York and that there is diversity. I don't think that there should be social engineering to keep the court monolithic as an all-white male court. I think that that's not what New York State is.
Well, that's social engineering is what the Senate Republicans, you're turning that around on them.
I'm using that code word because it was used as a code word by some of the members on the other side of the aisle. And I think that it was used in a very offensive form. So, I'm using that to highlight to you that, in fact, this whole process was somewhat troubling. I've never seen a nomination be as divisive or as controversial as this one. We usually, for lack of a better word, we usually rubber stamp these nominations. And this one proved to be very competitive, very adversarial.
Okay, but why, do you think?
Well, I think that politics obviously has something to do with it. I think that maybe some of the members of the Senate on the other side of the aisle are concerned that the governor is pushing a very progressive agenda.
Now.
And that now, yes, of course. And tomorrow we will deal with minimum wage, and maybe they wanted to send a message that they're just not going to fall in line with every piece of legislation or every initiative that the governor puts forward.
And yet after they did, you just confirmed her in a voice vote.
And we will also do minimum wage.
Okay, but we'll see. I know you have a bill and it has to do with indexing, and we'll see if it actually gets all that far. And I do want to get back to that in a second, but just to close the loop on this, I mean, the idea that the governor is, I just don't know when diversity ends and social engineering begins. I'm not entirely sure where that is.
Look, in the best world scenario, we would have a court that will be exactly reflective of the composition of the state of New York. We're not going to get there. I think that what we need to do is ensure that there is a will, that people will not be pushed back because they are different than the traditional members of the Court of Appeals, that they bring with them a new set of skills, new experiences. I mean, just like you can have a vast experience in a white shoelace Wall Street firm that's very important litigating while you're in the Court of Appeals, you could also bring to the table vast experience in public service and what the average New Yorker wants and needs. And I think that's what Jenny Rivera brings to the table.
Do you believe then, just to play this all the way out, there's another vacancy because of the untimely early death of Theodore Jones.
Correct, yes.
He was African-American. Do you believe there needs to be an African-American judge replacing?
I believe that there should be someone there that brings the qualifications far and beyond reproach first. And secondly, I don't object to it being an African-American, a Caribbean-American, a female, an Asian-American, someone that will bring some diversity to the bench while at the same time bring some qualifications with them.
You did have one Democratic member, a fellow Democrat from the Bronx, you're from Upper Manhattan, Senator Diaz, and he said, everyone knows, in his words, that this is not the best we have in terms of the best and most qualified Latino person on that list. There was another one, a man, Judge Acosta, right? And there was a woman, if I'm not mistaken, another Latina. So there were options that he had. I mean, you really do believe that of the entire 7 members, this was the most qualified person he could have gotten?
Qualifications could be interpreted in the traditional sense, and that means how many hours of court experience you had, or in the very innovative and creative new traditional way of what do you bring to the table, what kind of experience you bring to the table on a day-to-day basis. And I think that Jenny Rivera, in that aspect, within those parameters, brought the best resume to the table. I disagree with Reverend Diaz. I think she's highly qualified. And, I'm not the only one to agree with this. The New York State Bar Association agrees with it. The Puerto Rican Bar Association agrees with it. The Dominican Bar Association agrees with it. Now the National Organization of Women agrees with it. Judge Judith Kaye forward the resume to the Senate. And, of course, Governor Cuomo as well agree with all of us.
So let us talk about minimum wage. I mean, do you believe that is going to be the next fight? Because Republicans have been agitating. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe they're upset, I believe, with the pushback they've gotten from their grassroots conservative base, particularly in the wake of the gun control bill. They want to demonstrate that they do have some independence. If they demonstrate they have some independence on the minimum wage, this could be a problem for you.
Well, I think we're going to pass the minimum wage bill. I think it's important that we do. Some people may have concerns about the minimum wage, but I think it's the best economic development program that we can put forward. In fact, if you're working at minimum wage right now, which is $7.15 in New York, we adhere to the federal standard, which is $7.25.
Right.
You will be making about $1,400 a year,
yeah.
$14,000 a year. That still keeps you under the poverty level. You will still be eligible for federal, state, and municipal benefits. And in fact, you're up against the wall. If I throw your way another $1,500 or $2,000 a year, I think you're going to go and spend that. You're going to shop at the grocery store. You're going to go to the local pharmacy.
I'll still be poor.
You'll still be poor, by the way, but you're going to invest that money in the local economy, in mainstream, which has been left behind. So I think that the private sector, rather than seeing that as a problematic initiative, should be seeing that as a stimulus to the mainstream small business community that has been left behind.
Do you believe that the governor's made a turn to the left?
No question about it. I think, a little bit more, and he will be to the left of Che Guevara,
And I assume you think that's a good thing.
I'm a progressive. I think that, he's doing the right thing.
Okay, but so then in the first 2 years, you didn't think he was doing the right thing?
Look, I think there's some things I was supportive of and some things I disagree with, but I think that he's found his home again. He's come back home. and he's pushing in the right direction to approve many of the initiatives that are very good to us Democrats and to the community that I represent, and I'm going to be his partner in this endeavor.
Well, maybe next time he'll support the Democrats to take over the majority.
That will be a good thing.
Indeed. Well, we shall see. Only 2 more years to go,
2 more
Senator.
years.
You never know how long that power sharing agreement will last. I thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Take care.